Please, warm welcome for Hub. Hub. There you go.
Big one at the top, got it. All right, so if I understand this correctly, I'm between you guys in coffee break, so I'd be the last person to interfere with that. So let me jump into this. I didn't want to get up here and just turn this into a sales pitch. I want to talk to you a little bit about a consumer index that we do annually, some of the findings that I think you guys will find interesting, and it'll become somewhat self-evident as we get into this that the way we go to market, the solutions that we've crafted are built around what we understand in the marketplace. So let me make sure I've got this working properly. There we go. So just real quick, I mentioned this index report we do with e-consultancy. We've been doing it now for about 4 years, and it's we've seen a lot of disruption and changes in the marketplace that are going on right now today in the last, just over the last 2-3 years because of the pandemic. We're starting to see a potential recession hanging in over the globe. There's a lot of uncertainty that's coming out of that. There's a year-long conflict going on with Russia and Ukraine that's causing a lot of concerns in Europe and elsewhere around the globe. There's a presidential election that's coming up next year that is further causing distraction in the marketplace. And all in all, what we're seeing is that marketers around the globe have a rough road ahead as we try to grow our revenue, build lasting relationships with our consumers, because the confidence of the consumer in the marketplace is really up in the air. I'm not reading these slides, obviously. I want to, if you guys, are they big enough that you can read them? Good. The idea was just give you little talking points as we go through these things. So what we're finding is, when it comes to, separating our favorite brands from the rest of the marketplace, messaging is the key differentiator. We're finding in the survey of, I did mention this earlier, I think it's 5,000-6,000 consumers that we got responses from, and this was done globally, I might add, that a huge percentage of the consumers favor brands whose messaging delivers a consistent user experience, irrespective of the channel. That was some 86% of the responders. They also value brands that treat them as individuals, which we all say and talk and about doing that, but we all struggle with that, and brands that reward them for their loyalty, and I'll talk a little bit about that here in a minute. They're looking for companies that treat their data responsibly. That was another 82% of the responses, and that as well as companies that strive to build the relationships with them. So there have been year-on-year increases across the board that with those those brands that are eye-catching, with brands that stand out, mainly around brands that treat them as VIPs and influence their product purchases and rewards. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought there. So the brands that are committed to fostering those brand relationships and adding relevance, value, and personalization in those messaging are the ones that are being elevated to a preferred status and poised to see long-term benefits across the customer lifecycle. Another key message there is about loyalty being something more than at the end of the customer relationship journey, and not just at the end of the journey in a relationship status, but more starting at the acquisition phase. Make sure I follow through on this. And some of the reasons that we see in the report that is why consumers have switched away from the favorite brand, it's just as important to understand what the consumers are looking for and asking for from us as brands, but also what they don't like and what turns them away. And one of the things that we found is it's crucial to really understand that a third of the consumers that we surveyed had switched away from or become less loyal to the previously favorite brand because of the way they were responded and message communicated to. The key being that there was a 6% increase over the previous year. The largest factor for losing those customers is a drop in quality of products and services. No big surprise there. 35% of consumers calling that out as the key reason. But other factors that we as marketers, brand marketers, can control include irrelevant offers or promotions to the person. 33% of the response. Lack of product availability, either in-store or online, another 27%. So we all are guilty of this. We've been there before. We send the promotions out and we find out later that the products weren't available in store. It's more of a turnoff than just a lost opportunity. And customer service support issues, another 25%. So there's some other things that come out in the report, and I'll share at the end here if you're interested in a copy of the full report. There will be a QR code you can download and read the full report yourself. I'm just trying to hit on some of the highlights for you. And there we go. So, loyalty programs as a result, we see what's going on in the marketplace. So how do we respond back to it as a brand? And it really is more than just a rewards program. We find that a lot of brands confuse and conflate rewards with, earn and burn points, or, the idea of dealing with a rewards program in those terms. So my apologies. So confusing issues about points and discounts. Those are just two of the tactics that are available to us as a marketer, as a brand marketer, and being able to communicate with our consumers. Earning the customer's loyalty really demands more than just rewards, and using the value exchange and drives deeper engagement with the consumer. And we find that consumers themselves, when we surveyed them, they do respond to discounts. Who doesn't? And it was 65% admitted that in the survey, but there have been a 2% year-over-year decline in consumers' demand for discounts as a part of their loyalty to a brand. What is more exciting for marketers is seeing that the consumer is looking more for added value opportunities with the consumer, things that may or may not cost us anything to actually provide to them. For example, a third, 29%, if you will, responded to just early access to products and offers. Just being able to get in there before, early, and getting that representation. Another 24%, were willing to share their data for a personalized product recommendations and experience. So simply recognizing the data that they share with you as part of joining your loyalty programs and responding back to the consumer individually based on that data is enough for 29% of the consumers to say there's value in my loyalty to you as a brand. There's a couple other here that we get into. 22% of the brands to communicate in the channels that they prefer. 19% actually said that they want to get into sweepstakes, a chance to win something big, earn something, and sweepstakes in some cases aren't even that big in terms of value exchange on the reward back to the consumer. We see that happening more and more in the CPG space, where they're getting into QR codes on packaging, and the trade-off of getting the consumer to want to click on the reward, on the QR code, and provide their information is a chance to earn something back on the other side of it. And another 13% of the brands 13% of their consumers want their brands to help them feel a part of the community. We've got an example, and I can share with you offline if anybody's interested, about the Vans community and the Vans family, the Vans shoes, as a client of ours, and they actually have built out a rewards program that's very experiential in the sense, and away from earn and burn points, and it's all about building that sense of community. And consumers are telling us that they want that. So, you know, all these things kind of hinge on them, the consumer participating in any kind of a program with you as a brand on an exchange of value, meaning, make sure I'm keeping up with the screen. Oh, good. Make sure I wasn't off on the slides here. So really this exchange of value comes, it's not a new idea. It's been around for ages. I'll do something for you. You'll do something back for me in return. It's what commerce is all about. But really we're taking it down to the relationship side of things. Marketers want this, you know, information from the consumer. Consumers want personalized experiences. Marketers need that information in order to deliver that personalized experiences. So, the match is, if you will, made in marketing heaven, the way we kind of look at it. It doesn't have to be an extravagant price or a colossal discount. 93% of consumers are prepared to trade data just for a discount. I mentioned that before. 91% of the loyalty rewards, 83% for the opportunity to just win a prize. Many consumers, though, will share their personal psychographic behavioral data in return for unlocking content, just giving them access to information. 61% said they were willing to do that. And to feel a part of the brand's community, another 59%. And this is way ahead of trends like you see about being able to communicate through social media, some of the other models. Those are still important as well, but they just don't come up in the index report those high of numbers. Just kind of move along here. How am I doing on time? I think I'm okay. Thank you. And then, the perpetual concern around data privacy. We all know about this. Almost half of consumers, 45%, are using ad blocking technology today. So we all know about these things, but I was surprised myself to find out it was that pervasive. Another 22%, you see a rise, that was a 22% rise over the year prior. This uptick in adoption of ad blocking technology, combined with the phasing out of third-party tracking and cookies, poor performance of digital advertising, really makes it obvious, abundantly clear where the formal marketers need to stay away from. More than that, though, half of the consumers, 51%, are using privacy mode on a pre-installed browser. 51% are using ad blocking technology. Just mind-boggling to me. And that is up 55% over last year. So huge numbers in terms of the impact on us as being able to communicate with consumers, but also it's a huge illustration of the expectations of our consumers on respecting their privacy. Another third have gone to the laborious task of using PC cleaners. 29% actually pay to have privacy software installed on their laptops, and a quarter, 25%, are moving off of the traditional browsers, the Google Safaris of the world, and are starting to use alternative privacy-centric browsers. So no big surprise. Marigold, is we just mentioned a second ago, is a part of is a collection of companies that we acquired over the last few years. We were formerly known as CM Group, if anybody knows that name, but you would recognize some of the names of our brands: the Cheetah Digital, Sailthrough, Selligent, Emma, Future, LiveClick. I could go on down the list, but some of those brands might be more familiar to you. But we've built out our solutions to address those trends I was just talking through. We've got Cheetah here at the top of the brand, but all our brands apply to this and simply serve separate markets depending on the needs of our consumers. We do this with a point of view to how our clients need to engage with their consumers, namely around listening to them and not marketing to them. We all have said that. We've all heard it a few times over, but doing that is driven on the data that we are able to collect from our consumers and collecting that data directly, understanding them as a result of that. The technology is caught up and can enable these things to be done now so that, Marigold as a company, we've combined that art and science, if you will. So unlike a lot of other technology companies in the marketplace, we're kind of a hybrid of a technology offering. As I mentioned, a few different technology offerings combined with state-of-the-art services, strategic services to kind of help our clients enable best-of-breed engagement with their consumers. Make sure I'm keeping up with this. I'm almost done. Let you guys get to your coffee. So, doing this requires that value exchange. Talked about that now a couple of times, and it's kind of key to us engaging with our individual consumers. We believe the key to that is managing it through the privacy concerns of our consumers and establishing a direct relationship with them, meaning collecting that data from them directly. They've given us permission to use that information, and we need to accordingly respond to that request, access, that privilege, by reacting to it properly. If they give us information that tells us they have dogs and we're promoting cats, cat food, then we've missed the mark. We're not listening to the consumer. That's an easy, simple example to the model. But if you think about what you're up against, it's really with all the distractions in the marketplace. Our consumers are exposed to some 5,000 brand messages a day. It's important that we're responsive and treat the ability to collect that data and respond to them appropriately. Forrester did a report in September called Marketers versus Consumers. And what they found out, the headline was, marketers' tactics are actually turning customers against them. And by that, what they're really saying is that as marketers are amassing the data, profiling customers across devices, automating campaigns, co-opting customer value, we're actually, by over pivoting in those areas, they've creeped out the customers. That's Forrester's words, not mine. They've creeped out the customers who want some level of anonymity and authenticity from the brands that they interact with. We've kind of lost the experience of dealing with our consumers in an authentic and in a way by trying to automate and scale the process. And there's ways to come back from that. But what Forrester recommends is that you, the brand marketers, have to do a makeover and rethink how you define your customer and do away with a lot of the digital era advertising myths and embrace the customer's preferences for personalization, measure that success against customer value and revenue. And so the answer to those problems is to market to individuals and a value exchange, as I've kind of repeated myself, foregoing buying the dodgy data, snooping on consumers, and leaning more to a more honest, direct, and mutually valuable relationship between you and your consumers. I'm gonna make sure I'm keeping up, and then I'll kind of wrap this up here. So Cheetah Digital, Marigold, we kind of blend together the art and the science of being able to address those trends in the marketplace, as I've been talking about. I'll get you a copy of the report if you're interested in it, and I won't turn this into a full sales pitch, but we do have a little bit of a differentiation. We've got thousands of customers that we're able to bring together collective insights and best practices across those various brands. Because we've brought together multiple brands, we actually have combined the R&D teams, so we've got faster time to market and innovation, and we've got that depth and breadth of a partner ecosystem, again, across multiple brands that we go to market with, and we're able to leverage on top of that our best-in-class strategic and technical services, things like white glove service with our customers, to be able to provide them the support they need to optimize the results of their programs. I mentioned a couple of the brands that we have in our portfolio, and I won't go through this too much. Some of the brands that we support, we've got, of course, these are the ones that allow us to tell you about them, but, we've got a lot of good clients out there, Starbucks, American Airlines, and others. And there, I'll let it go at that. Thank you very much for your time.